So I've got a really cool guest for you today, guys. One of the finest martial artists to come out of our wonderful nation. I should say Wales, by the way, in case we've got any new listeners. So this guest is a fourth dan judoka. She's represented both Team Wales and Team GB, winning gold in the 78 kilogram category for Team Wales at the Commonwealth Games. That was Glasgow 2014. She's the former Tel Aviv Grand Prix winner and the former Abu Dhabi Grand Slam winner. And I think as well, the first female judoka from the UK to be ranked world number one as well. Natalie Powell, thank you very much for joining me. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, no complaints. As we've said before, the weather's knocked off now, so we've got beautiful sunshine and really living up to the name. So no complaints from me.
Fab.
So recently Natalie took gold at the Tel Aviv Masters as well. Was that January last year?
Yeah, it was just over a year ago now. Yeah.
And was it? I think most recently was at the Doha Masters. You competed at in that was this January, wasn't it, in Qatar?
Yeah, that was in Qatar. So that was my first compact after the big lockdown that we've all experienced. So I come fifth there.
Oh, yeah, still, I was going to say, basically had a year without competing, and sort of how frustrating. I mean, I understand with the lockdown and everything, there's not a lot you can do really, is there? You just have to roll with the punches as it is. But sort of like with the restrictions on training, and so how frustrating was it for you to not be able to really do much?
Yeah, it was really frustrating. I think it was a bit of a roller coaster in terms of emotion, as it was for everybody. I think the first period is probably most difficult when we thought the games were still going ahead as planned, and then having all the uncertainty about being in lockdown and all the media throwing stories out there about, oh, it could get cancelled, it could get suspended. So I think those few weeks before we actually knew for sure, they were probably the worst with all the uncertainty. But once it was clear that the games was going to be postponed, I found it quite easy actually just to throw everything into just training then, and training just become the centre. Well, it was the only thing I could do at that point. I was really lucky that Welsh Judo got me and my training partner a little flat, an Airbnb for the first 3 month lockdown. So we isolated together. We could just still train. So we did my S&C, my conditioning, and my judo in a gym with one of my friends. So yeah, it was very different, but it just gave me a focus really. So I was able to just throw everything into it with no distractions because it was the only thing to do.
Yeah, no, I was going to say we haven't at the jiu-jitsu gym we haven't been able to train for months now. I think it was maybe September, October the last time we've been on the mats, and it gets to that point where you're just clamoring to get back in there. And I'm quite worried how bad I'm going to be as well when we all get. But I mean, everyone's going to be in that situation. I don't know if anyone's bought a grappling dummy over lockdown to practice arm bars on, but yeah, it's going to be fun getting back into it and sort of all that. Oh yeah, well, I've got 6 months, however many months of be competitions, and that started back up. I'll just work out at home and blah blah blah. No, never did anything like that. So it's going to be fun anyway. But like you said, it's just really good being able to get back in there. And with the Olympics coming up in in the summer, it's paramount that you get in the time on the mat as well. For any listeners who haven't watched any judo before, I don't really know much about the sport. Is it all right if I give you sort of my understanding of how a match works in the scoring, and then you can give me the right answer? Because I'll be honest, I've never done judo before. I did karate when I was younger. I do jiu-jitsu now. I've had mates who've done judo, tried to explain it to me. So matches are 4 minutes long, and you score. You can either score, is it in Ishi or a Wazari? Ishi's a point, and is like a Wazari half a point.
So it's Ippon is
Ippon.
Ippon it's game over, and then 2 Wazaris make an Ippon also.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all the grappling, you can't sort of grab the gi punch. You can only sort of grip the upper lapels and sort of onto the gi jacket.
Yeah,
and you always have to be looking, is it for a throw or a sweep or something? You can't sort of be in there just holding on you have to be active.
Yeah, you've got to be offensive all the time.
Fair. No, I was going to say, I could imagine some of the matches would probably drag on for 4 minutes if it's like, you get that a lot in some of the, I watch a lot of mixed martial arts. You do sometimes see some of the grappling, they are just holding it to but it's good that they sort of try and encourage him to speed up a bit. I was going to say, when it comes to sorry.
You have the 4 minutes of normal time, but if there's no score after 4 minutes, then there's a unlimited golden score period. So
right.
If the score, then they'd win, but that can go on for forever.
Okay. Just indefinitely until someone.
Yeah.
Is that do you have to score a full? But do you have to score an ippon to end that, or is it golden score would be any
Yeah.
point? So,
You need to have penalties. So if you get 3 penalties, you're out. So
okay.
that continues into golden score as well. So if you had 3 penalties in golden score, you'd also lose.
Okay, is that for like sort of stepping out of bounds off the mat and sort of not being offensive, or is there a lot of
different, like stepping out, not attacking, like you say, being defensive, being bent over like this, gripping? There's gripping infringements. Yeah, there's a lot of little things you can get penalties for.
Oh, is it like the certain ways you can grip the gi, like you can't grab in the sleeve, or because we have a few things like that in gi jiu-jitsu where you sort of like rollers that you can like hook it, but you can't sort of put your thumb or your forefingers in. So.
And there's also one where you can't grip the same side of the jacket for more than 3 seconds without attacking.
Oh, right.
So there's little things like that.
Wow, it's a lot of intricacies in it. I was going to say,
there is. I kind of changed the rules because the rules this cycle have changed a lot from the previous cycle. You're allowed to, well, maybe 4 or 8 years ago, you were allowed to grab the legs, and then it developed to you're only allowed to grab the legs if you're countering an attack. Mm-hmm. And now leg grab has been completely taken out. I think they want big throws. They want it to be a more spectacular sport and good for the eye. So a lot of people, when you were grabbing legs, it was becoming quite defensive and maybe not as many throws. So they're trying to move away from that. But yeah, it's a big process. I think gradually changing the rules, you don't know exactly where they're going to leave you. I think when you change the rules, athletes naturally adapt and find ways to around the rules. So then they have to adjust them again because, yeah, we get it.
It's interesting to think about the legs because it would you could just sort of counter wrestle and sort of shooting for double legs if you're being grass. But it's, I think with a lot of combat, like mixed martial arts, they change rules frequently, and you still see athletes getting caught out with it. And
yeah,
it's a bit of what you said before. They're always going to try and find little inroads in and around the rules, but you need to. I think if you do change them every so often, like the different athletic commissions in America for MMA are changing them every couple of weeks, so no wonder they can't keep up. But so if you're having solid rule sets to keep and everyone knows what the game is, you can't really argue with that, can you? So when it's sort of the weeks leading up to a competition, what does the average sort of training session look like for you? Is it sort of more of a focus on cardio and strength and conditioning, or like a sort of drilling skills and sparring, or combination of everything?
I would say probably in the lead up to competition, the volume generally is decreased for me. For me, definitely. I think that's quite general for most athletes. So I'll put an emphasis more on power, short, sharp, intensive conditioning, short, sharp weights. Maybe some max strength complemented with some explosive sums. So say like, I don't know, 70, 80 kilos on the bar for bench for maybe 2 or 3, and then contrast that with some clap press ups. Okay. So that sort of explosivity in the last couple of weeks. Personally, I like to do a bit of randori as well, which is free practice for judo, and just get my feeling and my timing like on point. Again, not long randoris, short, maybe 3 minutes, really hard and intense. So yeah, I think maybe 12 weeks out from a competition, you'd be doing a lot of volume, a lot of mat time, a lot of conditioning for like 5-minute rounds and stuff like that. But yeah, as we come in close to the competition, it's more about intensity and power, really.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, I guess with any sport, really, you need that mat sharpness in effect of having that time on the mat, getting your sort of angles in. And but yeah, I always wondered what it would be for judo with because I guess if it's a lot of heavy throws and that in competition, you don't want to be sort of beating yourself up on a mat a week before a competition, just sort of going in with little niggles here and there. And
that's the other thing is that I put quite a big emphasis on recovery in that period as well, making sure I get my rest and my sleep's good, and yeah, that's quite a big part of that, like week or 2 leading in.
Yeah. Would you say that since you've started, the shift in focus in terms of the training aspects has gone sort of more towards recovery and nutrition elements like that, as opposed to just sort of getting time in the gym and working out?
Yeah, I've seen a massive change for me from last cycle, for the Rio cycle. I was a lot younger, and yeah, my coach would just push me to my limits all the time. Like I was doing, yeah, the amount of volume I was doing was ridiculous. I was just constantly knackered, but my body would hold up. But like this cycle, yeah, there's definitely been a shift. I can't put my body through the same volume of training as I used to. So we're taking a much more less sessions, so less time on the mat, less conditioning, but what I do needs to be quality, you know, so we still get the adaptions. And so yeah, it's definitely adapted. There's a much bigger focus on my recovery and nutrition than it was before. But there was always been a big important part for me, but it's needed far more now because my body's not what it used to be. I've got like aches and pains, and I'm not as flexible as I used to be. And when I do get injured, I've noticed the time it takes me to get back. It's so much more. Like in the real cycle, I had a problem with my hip, and it would flare up, but in a week, say, it would settle down and I can go again. But I had the same problem with my hip in lockdown, and it was still niggling on for a good 2 months after. So yeah, the body's not what it used to be.
I know with a sport like judo, that I mean, with any sort of martial art or combat sport, sort of like the training gets to you eventually, doesn't it? So all the hours on the mat, all the throws you take and that. But I think you get to a point with your coaches, especially where they know sort of what they can get out of you in a training session to give you the time to recover and be back the next day to be putting the same intensity in. So that always helps as well. And with the shift in focus towards nutrition and that, I guess all the sports technology helps in the 21st century with it. That's always good as well. You can have those can't remember the name of those sleep bands, but they're like heart rate monitors, and they can sort of monitor your heart rate. That's the one. That's the one. And then they can, if you're in the reds or the amber zone in the morning, you're not meant to train or you're meant to take it a bit easier. It can sort of monitor you. So things like that, like you wouldn't have dreamed of having that in the 90s, would you?
100%. Yeah, no, it's really transformed. Sports science is definitely increasing the longevity of our careers for sure. No, I'm really lucky in Cardiff as well. I've got a really great sports science team around me. So yeah, really lucky in that department.
With your training as well, have you just moved back to Cardiff recently? Was it to your old gym, your old coach?
Yeah, so for the Rio cycle, I was working with Darren Warner and the sports team in Cardiff for the whole cycle. But then in 2017, they said that we had to move to Warsaw if we were to continue getting funded. So I moved there for 2 years. So I was there for 17, 18. But it just wasn't working for me there. I wasn't progressing. I was getting results, but I could see I wasn't improving. You know, my judo wasn't getting better. And my goal was always to medal at the next Olympics. So I had a couple of competitions where it just wasn't on the pace, and it just pushed me in the right direction. Really, like I had something had to change if I was gonna like fulfill my potential. Really, so I think it was the beginning of 2019. I decided that I needed to come back. I didn't officially move, I think, until the mid 2019, but those for those 6 months before that, I was following the Welsh program then. So I was back in Cardiff. I think it was half the time I was back in Cardiff, and then I was out of the country the other half, or maybe in Warsaw for a few weeks. So I wasn't officially back, but I was following their program. And in those 6 months, my fitness and strength just really started to push on again. I could see the improvements already, so I knew it was the right thing to come back. Yeah, my coach Darren Warner, like he's like the best, and the coach is really important to get the best out of you. He just makes me believe. Yeah, he shows me that I can do things I didn't know I could do. You know, like he pushes me to places that I didn't realize I was capable of. So I think that's really really important. So coming back to Cardiff when I did was a big positive for me. I feel really positive about where I'm at and where we're going. So yeah, I can't fault it.
Oh, it's brilliant to hear, especially you back training with an old coach. I mean, sort of if you've had that experience with someone before and you have that trust, it really helps as well. Like you said, they can get the best out of you, can motivate you in ways you didn't know was able to rally you up in before, and so they know exactly what you're capable of and how to get the best out of you. They've spent those years with you on the mat, knowing and seeing sort of your every move. That's as well, sort of moving home, sort of the locality of it, you sort of around friends and family, and that's always beneficial as well. It's not really the same, but I imagine it's like so when you go off to university and you're there for a purpose, you're sort of training or you're studying, but you've had that isolation sometimes, and it's not. It works for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone. But it's just good to hear that you're feeling that you're getting the benefits from training, because like as a martial artist, you always want to be improving. If you're not feeling like you're getting those benefits, there's no one that can make the change for you. You've got to act upon it yourself. So it's good to see that you were able to do that, and Team Wales have been able to help you sort of follow the program and that as well. And it's just great to see. It's always good to have Welsh athletes train out of Wales as well. I have to think. So,
Oh, thanks. Yeah, really happy.
how old were you when you started training judo, and were there any main factors or any influences getting you into the sport, or?
I started when I was 8, I think maybe nearly 9. I just went to my local judo club, Urban Judo Club in Gulf Wales. I started basically because there was a few boys in my class doing it, and every night at home I was always fighting my dad in the kitchen. I just love fighting, I think. And Mum was getting pretty annoyed with us wrecking the kitchen with our antics, so she was like, "Yeah, I think this is a good idea. Let's get you into judo." And then, yeah, never looked back from there really. So that's where it all began.
Really just bitten by the bug early then. You
Yeah.
do find that sometimes you just find your thing and yeah, I'm home now. This is it. That's brilliant. I was going to say, for me, especially in the last maybe 5-10 years, it seems there's quite a lot of high level female boxers and martial artists really being pushed into the limelight. You've got, well, in boxing, you've got Clarissa Shields and Katie Taylor, Jade Jones in Taekwondo. You've got like Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko in MMA. There's yourself, of course, and the other judokas. And all these athletes are rising to the top of their sports, and they're having their elite statuses, probably some of them for the first time, placed amongst the male athletes, which is just great to see. How important do you think things like this are for the growth of the female divisions and competitions in this sport, and just inspiring that next generation of athletes to come through the pipeline?
I think it's really important. I think when your kid's growing up, you want to, the people you see in the media and in the limelight, those are the people you aspire to be like. And if you're not seeing these women doing incredible things like Jay Jones winning like double Olympic gold, when I was younger, I didn't see so many women in the limelight in that the way they are now. I still had idols when I was younger, like Denise Lewis. I remember was a big idol of mine, like winning the heptathlon Olympics. So I know for me that really inspired me. So it's really important for other girls growing up to see that. And I think in judo, when I was younger, there was loads of girls my age doing judo, like across the country. Um, but now in my actual training group, it was mainly boys. There wasn't so many girls, like actually in the full-time centre in Cardiff. Whereas now is even there's equally as many boys as there is girls, which I think is a real shift and a really positive move. So yeah, and I think it's really important for the media to be really capturing how successful British women are becoming in martial arts and in every sport really. Like there just needs to be a fair playing field for everyone really.
No, that really does. I think the main thing that still irritates me with some, I think it's mainly boxing and mixed martial arts, where it does my head in. A lot of the fans and some of the pundits are still questioning, oh, should we have women's divisions? But it's like, are you seriously going to, they've spent all these years, sort of like, I can't imagine how tough it is for a female to go into a gym, sort of get all the looks. Like, oh, what are you doing here? Does your dad know you're here? And all those condescending comments, and then you finally turn professional, get to a point where you feel like you're getting some limelight and some respect, and then you've got Stephen A. Smith, for example, that idiot off ESPN, saying, "Well, I don't like women fight." It's like, well, mate, I don't particularly like you talking about mixed martial arts because you're a basketball commentator, but here we are. Like, it's just taken, so I think especially for boxers, like you think of people like Jane Couch, fought for everything and never got any recognition until maybe 10-20 years ago for her achievements. She's had to work so hard to get her name and just to have a sort of face out there, and then you have some person diminishing her achievements. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. It's so good that people like that are continuing to fight though until they get that recognition, and then that's just paving the way for all the girls that are going to follow. Like, I don't know, 10, 12 years from now, I'm hoping, and I'm really positive this could happen, is that the women's martial arts and, well, in judo, we're really lucky, to be honest. It is really at the top. The IGF do a brilliant job of making it all equal. But like you say, for boxing, I'm sure in 10 years, it will be equal. There'll be the same amount of players doing it. It'll be the same prize money. Everything will be equal. But we are very lucky in judo, actually. And the IGF have done a really good job of making it as even playing field as it can. Like for the Olympics, there's 18 spots for women, 18 spots for men in each division. Prize money's the same. Yeah, same opportunities. So it's definitely going in a good direction in judo.
That's exactly how it should be. Doing exactly the same sport, exactly the same training regime goes into it. You've worked exactly as hard as the blokes to get to where you are. So that's great that judo are taking that on. With the Olympics on the horizon, how are you feeling going into this year's tournament?
Training wise, like given the restrictions we have in terms of not being able to go to camps and competitions like we would have previously, I think we've really made the most of it. I've managed to make gains in areas that I wouldn't have had time to do if the games had gone ahead where they were, like strength, conditioning, technical improvements. So I feel like my judo is in the best place that it's been, and physically I am. So it's just about delivering that what I know that I'm capable of now, really, at the competitions and when it matters. So yeah, I feel like we've made a lot of progress, and I'm really confident. It's just judo is one of those sports that, yeah, on the day it can just be over in a split second. So that's what we love, and that's what we hate about it. You know, I mean, everyone can have their day in judo. So, but I'm confident in the preparation and the process, and hopefully it will lead to a medal in Tokyo.
I mean, that's all you can do, really. You can just get yourself in the best position you can be on the day and sort of hope the stars are aligned for you. And maybe someone loses their footing in your first round match, just so like to get a nice, easy throw, get the confidence in. But no, I'm so excited for the Olympics. I absolutely love it. Before they introduced rugby sevens, I could still just happily watch football when they were doing that. I mean, it took Team GB a while to get involved in that, but boxing, wrestling, taekwondo, judo, it's just a martial arts feast. I love it. But for martial arts like such as judo and other ones we've named, how important do you think the Olympic Games is for athletes to be able to compete in front of a wide global audience, considering like it's meant to be for amateur athletes as well. So I think it's great to get your name out there. How do you think?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think for everybody knows the Olympics is the pinnacle of every sport. Well, okay, every sport is meant to be the pinnacle of every sport. So for judo, it is the pinnacle for judo, and yeah, to go to an Olympics is incredible, and to win a medal is just, yeah, that would be that's the dream. Like to win an Olympic medal is amazing, and to do that in judo is really, really difficult. So yeah, it's amazing, and for everyone around the world to see what a great sport judo is, and increase the participation and get people involved. I think it's an amazing stage. I mean, I do think the Olympics should be the pinnacle, and most sports now, you can't say that most sports are amateur now. I don't think. I think most sports you get some sort of funding, like the Olympic Association. Like for judo, don't earn much money, but we do get UK sport funding. So technically, is all sport amateur now? I don't know. So in my opinion, I think it should be everybody should be able to compete, professional or amateur. So for boxing, for example, I think it should be amateur and professional. It should be the best in the world. So, like, why don't you let the professionals compete as well, and then you will have the best that wins at the end of the day, you know? So, and in football, like, football isn't necessarily, the Olympics isn't the pinnacle for football. So should it be an Olympic sport? I don't know. There's a few questions about it. Yeah, there is a few. Whereas like taekwondo is the pinnacle, judo is the pinnacle, athletics is the pinnacle. So yeah, I feel like everybody should be allowed to compete, and Olympics should be the pinnacle of every sport, really, that's involved.
No, I agree with you there. It's just such a big global event. Like you just see all the colours and all the different flags in the stadium, and you can't go there. You're just watching it on telly all day, aren't you? It's wonderful, especially if you get a bit of time off work over the summer. I like athlete just flip between the red button all day. It's lovely.
I love the Olympics.
Oh, that's great. I agree with you what you said about the football, though. I've always thought it's really weird how they can only have, I think, 3 or 4 professional players in the starting 11, and then the rest have to be under 21 or amateur lads. Or so. It's just a bit strange. And
Yeah,
I mean, breakdancing's coming in Paris, which I don't know. Could you consider that? I'm not denying it takes unbelievable skill to do, and if I tried to do on the headstands, I'd be on my way down to Glenclwyd in a neck brace. So you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot of breakdancing to really comment on that one, to be honest. But if it's the pinnacle of the sport, and they obviously train really hard to be the level they are, because what some of them do is incredible. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's probably got more case to be in the Olympics than some sports. So
yeah, I mean, well, we always one of the lads from our school, Emir, he's I think he's about 100th in the world for squash now. But when he was in our age group, when he was in the age group things, he was 3rd in the world, and he was always furious that squash was never an Olympic sport. And we used to wind him up for it a little bit. Just feel like, oh well, it means it's not a real sport then, so you can't call yourself sports. A bit mean, I know. Things like that. I've always just thought, why can you not have?
squash. Because I saw that in the media recently. I can't understand. Like, I don't understand why it's not. To me, like, squash seems like a perfect Olympic sport. Like, it would be the pinnacle. Like, it seems to fit the bill. So I'd be interested to know why squash isn't an Olympic sport actually.
I'd like to be in the IOC room when they're discussing some of these ones to come in, like, yeah, squash. No. We've played it a little bit. It's not that tiring. So I've gone for squash court. I'm probably about 4 stone lighter, and it's about a foot of water, and they're just my sweat running about. I don't know how they manage that. I remember he gave our PE teacher a match once when he was about, I think he was about 14. He was fine. He came out fresh as daisy, and Mr. Roberts is there just drenched. You okay, sir? No. Oh, fun and games. I won't keep you for too much longer anyway, Natalie. Need to go out and enjoy the sun while it's still here before it goes away. Today, what would you say your proudest achievement is as a judoka?
I would say winning the world bronze medal in 2017 is my proudest achievement. Combined with I got to world number 1 at the end of 2017 on the ranking list, and that's always been something was really keen to try and achieve. So I think those two are probably my proudest achievements.
Oh, definitely. And finally, always do this question at the end. Finally, as a fan, do you have a greatest Welsh sport in memory or anything like that comes to mind?
Ooh, greatest Welsh. Oh, I didn't look at this question. Greatest sport in Welsh memory.
I always leave it at the bottom to catch people out. I'm joking.
Oh. Now you've caught me out there completely. Like, I remember all the Six Nations wins that Wales have had, which they were all, I can't remember one in particular that stood out.
So we've had the 30-3 over England a couple of, I think it was 2016. We've had that one. Euro 2016 as well. Someone's done that before. I don't know if these will spark any other ones for you. I'm trying to think what other people have said.
Yeah.
You can't have Joe Calzaghe in 2006. That's mine.
Yeah, okay. Geraint Thomas winning the Tour de France.
Yeah,
that was pretty standout. Jay Jones winning the Olympics, pretty impressive.
Not done bad for a nation of 3.1 million, have we? Really? When you think of it.
Yeah, there's not like one that stands out, but there's been a lot of impressive achievements.
Well, hopefully in a couple of months you can say your gold medal at Tokyo is the greatest Welsh sport in memory that comes to mind.
Yeah, indeed. So,
hopefully. Thank you so much for your time anyway, Natalie. Really loved talking to you today. So everybody, make sure you check out the Olympic schedule. Do you know when they're releasing the schedule by any chance? I never know anything like this.
They might have released it already, because I know that my competition day would be the 29th of July. So
29th of July.
Yeah, I think they probably have.
I will remember that. It's the day after my mum's birthday. So everybody, 29th of July, Tokyo 2020, Natalie Powell competing in the judo. Make sure you check it out. It will more than likely be on the BBC, so do not miss it. Thank you again for joining me today, Natalie. Lovely talking to you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you too.
Thank you.